what Luke's going to tell us, and but he's a fine teacher. And help us all, Lord, just to be in your light in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
We talked about last week, just trying to get on a tangent of what agape land is. Agape. We have agape land here, and all that goes on with that. So today, it was about the door.
Get the door.
It's not agape land.
Sit right here.
Is he coming in?
The farmer. Yes, sorry, I didn't know the deal.
I didn't know the deal.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's not the farmer.
Oh, we finally get to meet our neighbors. How are you? Good to have you. Good to have you. Oh no, I'm not in Agape Land. I'm in Tony's class. Oh my gracious! I heard y'all was wondering what we do over in Agape Land. Well, here I came over to tell you, and I apologize for not getting over here sooner. My tractor broke down along the way. But what we do in Agape Land, how are you? I shouldn't have shook your hand with my gloves on, but you know, I was taking the camera there out of the barn. So, I probably should have left them over across the way. That's all right. Don't worry about that smell. It'll be all right. How you doing? But what we do over in Agape Land is, we work with the kids on a skit. Debbie, if you don't mind getting that door, that'd be great. I don't want to scare any of the small children. All we do, this thing is burning me up.
Yeah, I
What
did.
we do over in Goldtown is we have a skit that's actually gets put on, okay? And in that skit, it involves the puppets. It involves the whole act, the whole scene, the whole everything. So if you haven't, who hasn't walked in that room next door? Who has not walked in that room next door? Do me a favor before you leave today. If you would, just walk in. What you're going to see is you're going to see a piano that's dressed up like a tractor. You're going to see a squirrel hanging off a tree. A real stuffed squirrel, by the way. But nevertheless, you're going to see a mailbox on the wall. You're going to see the whole room is painted up in a barn scene. And what I mean by that is you're looking out across the fields, and the little ones that come in there are sprouts. That's what we call them. So you guys are the mommy and daddy sprouts. So here you go. Mommy and daddy's to the sprouts. But what we do is we have a complete skit that's put on with all the puppets, the puppeteers. We noticed that a lot of the people the younger generation wanted to get involved, but they didn't know how. They can actually be the puppeteers, and we've got characters, we've got voices. Some of the voices are people that are even no longer with us now. Yeah, Tom Gibbons, he's the voice of Fuzzball. Fuzzball in the scene this morning, he gets introduced for the first time in the document. So that's cool. Because we have so many skits put on that we can just regenerate and start. Like this morning's skit's about Thanksgiving, so not being thankful. But Gene Farrell is the old wise Charlie horse. Skeeter is absolutely the greatest puppet and the greatest dog you could ever have on any farm ever, because the guy that did the voice on that one, you know that guy. But what we do is we interact with the kids after the puppets are done, and there is no interaction with them while the puppets are on stage. But after the puppets are done, the farmer kind of steps into the role, and he comes out, and then he's always surprised because the sprouts are there, because the sprouts are sprung up. The sprouts have come into the room. So he comes in and he sees the sprouts. He's always excited to see them, and the farmer, he actually starts having a lesson. Our lesson this morning is going to be in Luke 17 about being thankful. The lepers, there was only one that was thankful, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to get into what they're thankful for. So that's what we do in Agape Land. That's kind of the mechanics, and it's all about kind of keeping the kids amazed. We always end up having prayer at the end. We always try to remember that the farmer is getting old. Sometimes he forgets, but I always try to have prayer at the end, and we always tell you always try to remember everything that they mention themselves. We have, over the years, had some very interesting prayer requests, on which I would probably go over them with you individually, but kids don't understand pregnancy, that's all I'm gonna say about it. They're very concerned, and they praying for me to get better. So, these things happen, but it's nice that the kids actually can be entertained at their level, but also be taught about it.
Amen.
And be
Amen.
taught what it's all about. Okay, now, Emily this morning, Emily is the one that's kind of doing it right now. Judy Martin actually created this a long time ago. She actually created this, got all the kids involved, and they actually painted the room. To say agape, there's been, agape land was created by the youth to the point, because the youth have run it for so long. But everything you see over there, I know there was work parties and stuff, and the youth were so involved. Now those youth are you guys, or your guys' age, okay? So that's how it all started. I'm the old guy that remembers all that. But Vicky can tell you what they do with the kids as far as the structure.
Well, like you said, Emily's in charge of that, and I don't know if you don't know who I am. So I'm winging this. I found out 10 minutes ago I was coming in here.
CJ's sick.
Yeah, CJ's sick, and, but I've been a part of the Gospel Land for forever. The kids come in, there's spotlights there, the puppets come up, sing a song, they do a skit. And the kids are just going, they're there right there with them. And then when that's over with, well, you've already met the farmer, and they're there with him. They want to talk to him, they want to ask him questions, they want to answer his questions, they are just right there. And we keep an eye on the sanctuary to see, you know, cause we want this to end when everybody's done the sanctuary. So if something happens in there, it takes longer, we're gonna get, crafts from somewhere, get the squirmies out, as we call it.
After the farmer, usually it's Veggie Tales too.
Veggie
There's
Tales,
Veggie Tales
yeah.
skit that goes along with it.
We have a TV in there for Veggie Tales.
The hay bale.
And they really have a good time, but the first time that they come in there, they're just kinda in shock about what's going on around them, because they've not seen anything like that before. But it's awesome, and they love it, and it's like ages, I think, 3 to 1st grade maybe. But if you have a kid younger than that, and you can come in with them, come and sit with them. I bring Cooper. And then when, cause he loves the puppets. And when he gets the squirmies and I have stuff to do in it, I take him to that shit. So do that. Bring them in, because they're gonna love it. They're going to love it.
Yeah, and like I said, we're always looking for volunteers, okay?
Absolutely.
And like I said, maybe you don't wanna be a puppeteer or whatever, I get it. Maybe you have a kid that's of the right age to be a puppeteer. I don't know, maybe they wanna get involved, but, we'd love to have any volunteers, if you can help in any way. I know Emily's, been doing, and Dickie's been doing a lot of it, but anything you can do to volunteer and help. And if nothing else, I invite you today to come over and watch Agape Land today. Maybe you don't wanna stay the whole time, you just wanna pop in and see what happens. Maybe just give a little bit, at least see the puppets, you know. The farmer, he's kind of a goofball, but if you get a chance to just look and view and see what's going on, it's pretty cool.
And sometimes, if the farmer can't be there, they might want somebody to fill in if you're interested in that. You might wanna think about that.
But thank you all, I appreciate it, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't take leave.
Okay. Luke is one of our Sunday school teachers. He's got the younger adult one in print, and I'll pull him out every now and then and bring him over here, be around grown people. You go get my husband.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, we've actually been around for how you guys have been going through the book, but I did hear about some UFOs.
Yep.
Does anybody care to elaborate, I guess, on some of this information? Because I don't know all this information. Maybe we can use it for this morning's lesson too. I I was given the book like last week, so I had to read a book, read a lesson, not the whole book.
Well, it comes down to stinking thinking. Don't do no stinking thinking.
I like that. Anything else?
The main we talked about, the gist of it is, the enemy will put thoughts in your mind that's gonna harm you, discourage you, and bring you down. And we have to be aware of those thoughts. And these are tools that help us identify those thoughts, how we're gonna deal with them, but basically not to let them in. Because that's, when you let them in, that's where the danger starts. So you have to keep them from coming in. And if they are in, there's just ways of dealing with that. That's what we've been talking about, is not only the enemy, but the enemy will use, his tactic is to use other people to put those thoughts in your mind. So we gotta be aware of our surroundings always. Thoughts from the outside, thoughts around us, it's a battle every day. That's what the book's all about, is taming your thoughts.
It is a battle, for sure. Every day when we wake up, it's a battle. Devil wants to get us 24/7, so. But, today this session, I guess, is about finding joy and avoiding the lure of lust, which is an interesting combination there, but, truthfully, when we look at lust, that's what the devil's trying to use. He's trying to use, that tactic, I guess, to give us a small amount of joy, just temporary joy. And, whenever I was reading, the book and getting ready for this, they compared it to fishing. The writer compared it to fishing, how, you bait the hook, throw the hook into the water, and it lures a fish in to grab the hook, and then, you got a fish. But I thought of, so the Lord, has anybody ever trapped?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody ever been trapped? Yeah, couple?
I got married one time. I'm here all week. Not for long.
So for you guys who's trapped, can anybody, I guess, tell me sequence on how you trap? Just a typical.
Basically, I
Still
would
track.
scout the area and look for tracks, and then, I use a lot of foothold traps, so with that, I place it near where I know they're coming through, and I'll do like a dirt hole set, where put bait down in the hole, they come by, get a whiff of it, and then they start to dig at it and capture it.
There you go. That's the essence of trapping, for animals like that. I have truthfully never done it, but I did do a lot of trap lines with my dad. We just go out walking and we scout for a good opportunity to get a good spot to put a trap. And we always had this one tree every year. We'd catch a fox at this particular tree. It was right at the bottom of an oak tree, but it was on top of a hill. And basically, what you do, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of time put into trapping. You dig a hole, you set the bed of the trap. That trap can't move. If it moves, the animal's gonna know. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. But the Lord gave that scenario to me because that's what the devil. That's
Amen.
a lot of the tactics that you use for trapping. The devil will use at the same time. I always remember Dad putting just a little bit of whatever awful smelling stuff that he's grabbing. And you dab it on a tree limb or on a bush nearby, and then that will get on the wind, and the animals will smell that from real far away. And the animal will come in close. Whenever he comes in close, the closer he gets to the smell, and then he can see whatever's in the dirt hole. Whenever he sees what's in the dirt hole, he starts to get really curious. And Dad always tunneled nature. He always tunnel nature, because the predators, they won't step on sticks, they won't do any of that kind of stuff, so like he'll purposely like place sticks around the trap set, and it will force the animal to step over that stick right into the pan. And but anyways, trapping's fun. I could sit here and do the whole thing on the trap. But anyways, the devil uses the same kind of tactics. We're the animals, and he's the trapper. So, but anyways, for the first question, of course, there's a couple questions in the book that I was working through. The first question says, what are some examples of the type of joy the world offers? So, what would the devil sprinkle out there for us to come to the trap set? Any ideas?
Things we want, things we agree, I mean, money.
For sure. Money, power.
Yeah.
Career titles, career success, and just, these are all lusts that we want. Sexual pleasures as well. Speaking of lust, that's one that a whole lot of people don't like to talk about, but
Right.
it's very prevalent. But anyways, so Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 1 through 11 is where I was going to read for this particular question. Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon, and Solomon went through a bunch of stuff in his life, and he had a bunch of achievements. David had a lot of achievements as far as winning battles and uniting the kingdom and doing great things for the Lord, but he was ordered. And but after David left, Solomon had all these other achievements: building a temple, building like a couple different cities. To my knowledge, he built his house. But anyways, Solomon had a bunch of different achievements, a lot of wealth. He gained a whole bunch in his reign. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, I'll read verses 1 through 11. We can read what all that stuff meant. Like I said, Solomon gained a whole bunch, but he is about to tell us what all that is worth. So the worldly things, what all of those things actually worth. I said in my heart, go to now, I will prove thee with myrrh. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? I sought it in my heart to give myself into wine, yet acquainted my heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. I made me great works. I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them, of all kinds of fruits. Whenever he talks like that sounds amazing. But verse 6, I made me pools of water, to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and I had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle, above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I have gathered me also silver and gold, and the particular treasure of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men, as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. So I was great, and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was vanity, and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. So he did all these achievements. He had all this wealth and all this great stuff. to his name. And it was, and number 11 says it was vanity and vexation of spirit. It was worthless. All of it was worthless. So, anybody have anything that they'd like to say on that?
It just proves you, like, when the lottery started, everybody, I can just win the lottery, I just win the lottery. And we've found this out since then, that everybody that wins these big multi-million-dollar lotteries, their life is over within a period of time. It's all gone. It's just, you remember the guy here from West Virginia, the Whitaker guy, all that he had. He lost everything. He lost his granddaughter, it was just all vanity. So, treasures that are not gonna help you life at all. It's just out there.
Yeah, I know I've heard in a couple different times, oftentimes the more money you get, it's worse it will. You put in your joy into something that vanishes, you know. You spend the money or you make the money, whatever one it is, and it brings joy for a little bit, but it'll disappear.
Everything he's describing right here is some people's definition of the American dream.
Absolutely.
That's what people are striving for, and when you're striving for that, there's never enough, because there's always one more thing.
Mhm.
There's always a newer thing. There's always a bigger house. There's always whatever. There's always more money. There's always another vacation you can go on, and like you said, nothing was gained under the sun. From all of that, if that's what you're putting all your hopes and your dreams into, then you're never going to be satisfied, because that's not what satisfies us. That's not what satisfies your soul.
Yeah, exactly.
I think as you get older too, you tend to realize that what was a priority 30 years ago really wasn't that important. You kind of look around and, you know, look at families and, you know, situations in families. You realize all that stuff is not as important as you thought it was.
Yeah, and to expound on the lust portion of all this, these are all things of lust, whether it be we use lust or sexual desire a lot of times, and that's probably within the church. But these are also lust, you know, lust after money, lust after positions, you know, whatever it may be. But the second question, most people agree that lust is a major problem in our culture, including within the church. And most would say the answer to that problem is discipline or willpower. And then I ask the question, how would you respond to those claims? What do you guys think? Is that a major problem?
I think it is, and I think saying discipline and willpower leads you to believe you can do it on your own. And most of the time, lead us to our own devices, then we're wanting the bigger house and the next vacation and all that other stuff. It's just, God's gotta get us focused on what's important.
We need to get off that TV and them phones, because that's all it is lust.
It's a terrible thing. It's ruining society.
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side, I'm trying to be quiet. I'm a new guy too, but flip side of that, I mean, the Bible does tell us to take care of our family. I mean, we have to take care of our family. You can go that route. You can justify that, right, through all this, through your lust. But on the flip side, I was thinking about that. What it comes down to, I know there's a heartfelt thing, a death, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, if you make all this money, and you didn't pour your heart and soul or Christ into that child, whatever, then that's heartbreaking. All that money you made no difference to the death of whoever in your family, right? Because then it all depends on what the willpower and stuff like that is. If you read what you said earlier in the scripture, it's weird, because what's he say? He starts talking and he says me. What I basically, right? He's like, what I made, what I done. So the perspective of that is, whenever you start talking about what you do, it to me is what did God do in my life? What did God help me? What did God help me do in my life? Right?
Amen.
If I don't show that to my kids or my family, that God's helping me get these things. I'm not doing this myself. Sorry.
No,
Don't
don't
be
be sorry.
sorry.
Don't ever be sorry.
Another thing, in James 1:14, James says that every man is tempted, and then he's drawn away by his own lust and enticed. And as much as we want to blame all the exogenous things for us falling to that, and you see a lot of people fall to that, you see a lot of pastors, a lot of preachers, a lot of good people fall to their own lust and blame something else when really it's our own lust that we're enticed by. That's what we're going away from. And the issue is we live in a world of people that don't like to tell themselves no. That is the big problem. We live in a world of people that don't like to tell themselves no. There's no fight or restraint against that. It's indulge now.
Yeah, and, it's the ultimate, so it says kingdom thought, the ultimate goal to our lives in general is just self-control. It's self-control. Being able to kill, to die out, and become that new person, that is the ultimate goal. We can't do that if we don't have self-control. So, and I was actually gonna read, so it's James 1:13-16. So that's perfect. No, it says, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God." God don't tempt you.
Right.
For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So do not err, my brother. And then I also had 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 3-5. And I think, so it talks of lust, but I think the big one, a big one, I think, is the sexual pleasure. Like I said, nobody likes to talk about it. Typically, nobody does talk about it. But it's an extremely powerful thing. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 3-5 says, and this is something that you don't find necessarily everywhere in Scripture, but very few places it actually says, "For this is the will of God." Most times, we read the Bible and decipher what the will of God is, but this is very obvious that it's the will of God because it says it. It says, "For this is the will of God, even your sanctification." So this is for your sanctification, the process that we're all walking ever since we got saved, that ye should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the lust of conspicuousness, even as the Gentiles which know not of God. So that he spent 2 verses there saying that this is the will of God for you to abstain from any kind of fornication or sexual pleasure. So I think that it is a huge issue. I think it's a huge issue in the church. And it's like I said, it's a very powerful thing, especially like JD said. If you watch any kind of TV, or you're on Facebook very long, or on anything on your phone, you see it every day. It's ridiculous. But that leads to the next question. It says, what is it about lust or lustful thoughts that make it such a difficult subject to manage, even within the walls of our thoughts? So, what do you guys think? What is it that's about lust that is a difficult subject to manage, even within church?
Cause it's a feel-good thing.
It hits home. You don't want to admit that you have those temptations, you have those feelings, and it's messing with you. You don't want to talk about it. It's excessive. You don't have, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, what you have, lust is accessible. Especially now.
It didn't feel good, didn't look good, it'd be nothing to worry about. So it's enticing, it's just something that
Yep.
affects you, it's, that's what the devil uses. The brother's talking about our families. When I was working, I had guys that, my God, they work forever, they work all the time, making all kinds of money, buying all kinds of stuff, you know, just bragging about what they had, all this stuff. As time went on, years went on, they'd come to me, tears in their eyes. Tony, can you pray for my son? Can you pray for my daughter? They're out here into this, just broken into this. And you want to say, well, a little late, but they gave all of that for what they thought was good for their family. And all the family wanted was just them to be there. I was fortunate enough that I could go where I wanted to go, and we always had dinner at the table. We always had dinner every day at the table because I could do that. But that's the most important thing. You talk about put your treasures in your family. That's where you want them.
Cause that is kind of a hard thing to, for me it is, it's kind of a hard thing for me to battle whenever I know that there's possibility of me making more money for my family, and like Matt said, you justify it by saying that it's for the family. But oftentimes it's not really for the family. And then Taylor, she gets on to me. If I'm working too much, Rich probably knows all about it. I'm out there at 4 o'clock every day.
3:58 sometimes.
It's not me. It's not me.
And there's nothing wrong with having things.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. It's just your priority, where you put them at. You know.
I was reading something yesterday that was talking about, they was talking about when they had kids, they had this child, and they said, we paid so much at the hospital, and then as she got a little bit older, we paid for Gracie, and this big expense, she got married, we paid for this, and the girl had died at a relatively young age, I think in her 30s or something. They said, when they walked away from that tombstone, they said they never paid another dime, basically. And what they were saying was that they would have invested anyway. And a lot of times we think about like, well, my kids, especially Christmas coming up, think, we gotta get them this, gotta get them that. And I don't know, my boys, we have truly lived that story where you buy them the gift, they set the gift to the side and they're climbing around in the box. Like they're playing in the box. They just care about the time.
Yeah.
When the boys were little, we took a trip kind of up into the Northeast, went to some amusement parks, Mount Washington, and all this cool stuff. But when you asked them about the trip, what they told everybody was when we stopped and went down in this creek and threw rocks.
Right.
That's awesome. There's huge teachable moments in that.
Teach me.
Yeah.
Teach me.
Yeah. So anyways, I did want to read some things, just some statistics that I found online. To get back on the lust track, I am going to read just a little bit of statistics in the direction of the sexual pleasure statistics. And sorry that people talk to me, but it is what it is. We gotta talk about it. It's one of the things we gotta talk I did not rehearse anything. But anyways, so this is these are statistics that are the viewing of pornography. So, and this is statistics for Christians. Okay? Alright, so the overall usage of practicing Christians, they report that 54% of them report viewing pornography to some extent. Men, 75% of Christian men report consuming porn on some level. Women, 40% of Christian women report consuming porn on some level. Frequency is nearly a quarter of practicing Christians who use porn view it at least weekly. And among Christians, the young adults ages 18 to 24, 70% actively search for porn. And this one's pretty crazy, but it says 67% of Christian pastors report having a personal history of struggling with pornography. And that was not a huge issue, but it says 18% say it's still a current struggle, which I say is an issue, but they're still human. You know, they're still human. And that just leads you to, we want to hold pastors up to a really high standard. And I think that is acceptable because they are the flock leaders.
Right.
But at the same instance, you know, they're still people.
Yeah.
But then it says more than half of Christians, like 55%, agree that a person can regularly engage with pornography and still have a sexual healthy life. Says only 10% of U.S. churches have a specific program to address struggles with pornography, and the vast majority of Christian porn users, 84%, say they have no one helping them avoid pornography, and nearly half say that no one knows they have it. And then the vast majority of Christian porn users say, a significant percentage of practicing Christians who use porn report being comfortable with their use, with only 14% wanting to actually stop, which is a pain. So, when it comes to lust, I think that's a really, really hard one, especially nowadays, especially with the younger population, because of the phones and the TVs.
I saw a little video clip yesterday, and it showed a little boy laying in his bed, get ready to go to bed, had his phone, and his dad walked in to tell him good night. And he said, "Oh, by the way," he said, "I left all this in your room for you. There's a basket of every pornographic magazine you can think of." You know, just talked about that phone in your hand. I mean, what parent would leave a basket of Playboy magazines in the room for their kid? They wouldn't.
Right.
But when they have that phone in their hand, that's exactly what you're doing. You know, when they're in there and you're not watching what they're looking at, they have access to anything they want to see.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's hard.
I mean, the boy from Nitro that committed suicide the other day. I mean, he was a straight A student, all that, but because somebody disguised themselves as a friend and then had him send an inappropriate picture and then said, "Okay, we're going to show this to everybody if you don't pay us," like within 2 hours, he took his own life because of that.
Anyways, I wouldn't. I think the farmer stole some of my time. I didn't want to leave on that note. So turn to John chapter 16, verses 22 and 24, and we read about the joy that we can get through Jesus. So all this other stuff that we got going on in our lives, we got to battle every single day. We got to avoid the track. We got to avoid that steel track that's laying underneath the dirt. Jesus can always be the one that we can put all of our joy in, all of our trust in, all of our love in, everything that we are and can be. We can put it in Him. He can make us so much more.
Amen.
So I'm going to read from 20 to 28. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice, and ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. A woman, when she is in travail, has sorrow, that means labor. So when she is in labor, she has sorrow because of her hour is come. But as soon as she delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish, her joy that a man is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. And in that day ye shall ask me nothing. Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Hitherto have ye asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, and your joy may be full. So, as we go through our daily issues, ask the Lord for help. Ask the Lord to help you avoid all those words and avoid the enticing troubles that we all face.
Thank you, Luke.
Hunter.
Ask you, is your mom really serious about letting us? Okay.
Well, because of all the new